Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired. Generationally Speaking.
Look at the White House in Washington, D.C. We do have some breaking news in the D.C. area. Fox 5's Bob Barnard is joining us right now to get us all up to speed. Some pretty sad news out there. Good morning, Bob. What can you tell us?
Yeah, hey, Pilar. We're in a neighborhood in Prince George's County, just east and slightly south of the Washington, D.C. area. And what you're seeing here is the results of a fatal fire here, a two-story townhouse in a community called Hillcrest Heights, where we have just learned in about the last 10 minutes that 3 children under the age of 12 have died in this fire. The call went out at about 2:20 this morning. When fire crews arrived, this home was fully engulfed in flames. There were 2 adults and a child already outside who got out on their own. There were 3 children, they were told, who were trapped inside. They brought 2 of them out, got them to the hospital where they died or were pronounced dead. And then they found a 3rd child inside who had already died inside this house fire. We don't know what their relationship is, whether it's one family or a number of families or more than one family. We don't know the cause of the fire. There are fire investigators here. It's about almost 5 hours old, this fire, and there are investigators inside because the fire is out now. We don't know the cause. We don't know whether there were working smoke alarms inside this home. Those are questions that they're trying to find the answers to. We may not know all of that today, but the bottom line here this morning is you've got 3 young members of what may be one family or a couple of families who are asleep upstairs, more than likely at 2:30 this morning, and have died in a terrible house fire here just outside Washington, D.C., Pilar.
Yeah, Bob, absolutely devastating news this morning. Have you spoken with anybody on the scene, perhaps witnesses or anybody with the fire department out there?
No, there are people here in the community who are shaken by what's happened here. Nobody yet who has told us they saw this in flames, although at that hour with all the fire crews here, you would think there would be people here. We have not spoken to any of them. The ones we have spoken to are just reacting to the news of what's happened here. We're not going to put it on TV, but behind us by about 50 yards or so, there is a woman on the ground in the middle of the street being attended to by EMTs and paramedics. We heard her wailing and screaming, so we only can believe that she's probably a family member or a friend who has arrived, but she's being attended to. And we were in the city up until about 6:30 on a different story, frankly, a terrible shooting in the city where a 6-year-old girl was killed, and then the gunfire outside Nats Park Saturday night in the middle of a ball game, Nats versus the Padres. So we've kind of just gotten here. I think there are some people who may have witnessed this overnight, but we haven't had a chance yet to talk to them.
Yeah, Bob, I do see, I'm on your guys' website right now. Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department actually sent out a tweet that read, update on Iverson Street townhouse fire in Hillcrest Heights, 3 fatalities, 1 PGFD firefighter taken for minor burns to the hospital. Fire investigators and PGPD detectives are conducting a joint investigation. So we'll keep a very close eye on it for any updates, but we appreciate.
Yeah, they have an arson task force here, police and fire folks, and we just, on Fox 5, interviewed Jennifer Donlin, who's the main spokesperson for Prince George's 5, and she gave us all these details live at 7 o'clock just a couple minutes ago, and that's her tweet, so that's the latest information we have right now.
Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I want to welcome you to Generationally Speaking, where we sit at the table and we discuss all of life issues, and we hear from every voice. From the younger voice to the older voice, everybody, we hear from everybody. And what we've learned is that As we sit at the table of discernment, we can learn something from everybody and from every age group. Well, I am excited today to be here with my very special guest, and her name is Larine Meade Hurd. And if you've not heard of her, trust me, you will. So before we get started, make sure you get your tea or whatever you're sipping on. Get you some paper and some pen, because you know you might need to take a few notes, because we're going to have a great conversation. So let me welcome Larine Meade Hurd. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we have a live audience, and so we're excited about that. Well, Larine, she just recently, today is her day for her book signing. And I had the opportunity just to read through her book very briefly. And I believe that in her book, there is healing that you can find for different aspects of your life. So before we get into her recent episode, I want you to get to know her more personally. So I'm going to ask her just to share a little bit about herself as she was traveling back and forth between the DMV. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. So she spent her time growing up in D.C., but she had her roots in Virginia. So tell us about those early years as a young girl, sitting at the table, refusing to eat your food.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I was around 6 years old. And, you know, a lot of us have kids that they're picky eaters. Mm-hmm. I was a picky eater. Mm-hmm. But my dad was really stern about me eating all my food. And I was 6, and I would sit there. Once we would have dinner, I would just sit there and wait till my mom and my dad would leave and my brother. And I would sit there with my mouth filled like a chipmunk. Like this. I would sit like that at the table because I didn't want to eat certain foods. And then I would wait till they leave. And where we lived at, we had an alley that was in the back of our apartment off of 14th Street. And the cats used to be in the alley behind our kitchen. So I would wait till everybody go, and I would go in the backyard and feed the cats. So by the time my dad would get back down, and he would have thought I've eaten all of my food, but basically I was feeding the alley cats.
So you went to elementary school. You talked about your favorite experience, I guess your favorite elementary school. Tell us a little bit about those years in elementary school and then middle school, and who was Larine when she got to high school?
Yes, the early years I spent, I went to Harriet Tubman Elementary, and then later I went to Hartwood Elementary in Virginia. But growing up with going to Harriet Tubman Elementary, you know, now that I'm older, I know how important Harriet Tubman was in our lives and the history behind Harriet Tubman. And I was just very proud as an adult that I went to that elementary school and honored a great woman that she was. And my elementary school in Virginia was Hartwell Elementary. It was a diverse school. So I was able to get to Virginia to see the diversity in life versus growing up in Washington all the way. And Virginia has a lot, learning to ride the school bus and things like that. So it was a big difference in my life. Right. It was very rewarding at the end. Yes.
And you know, at a very early age, you were introduced to grief. And most people don't experience grief until maybe they are in their 20s, but here you are as a young child, you experience grief. So share that first experience of grief with us.
Okay, my first experience that I experienced was my father. My father passed away when I was 6 years old, and my godparents were a minister, Reverend Cecil Rose and Bertha Rose, and we grew up in a church, in a foundation. We had the foundation of a Christian church. And during that time in Washington, during the riots and everything in D.C., I was, you know, during those times I was born and seeing the riots, the buildings burn and things like that. We lived in that era. But growing up, when I was 6, my father passed away. It was just very heartbreaking because I lost my father at an early age, and I lost him, you know. My father was in the streets, and he was an entertainer at the same time, but getting a knock at the door from the police department And waking up the whole house was really traumatic to me. But losing my father at an early age, it left a hole in my heart.
Yeah.
It was a pain that a little girl, like looking at my son.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some painful moments.
Yes.
But you had a foundation, and that foundation was the church.
Yes.
And I noticed you included a scripture in your book about don't be dismayed, out of Isaiah.
Yes.
That God is with you.
All the time.
And so I don't want to tell all the book because I want you all to buy the book. So I'm not going to tell all the book, but we're going to skip over a little bit. And we're going to get to the phone call that you received that changed your trajectory of your life. And that phone call was saying, come to your son's house because we need you. There's something going on here. So tell us a little bit about that phone call.
Well, that phone call, July 19, 2021, changed my life tremendously. And my son, Nick, called me. Just the sound in his voice was detrimental, and it awoke in me, and I was asleep, and he was yelling, said, "Mom, get here. I need you. I need my whole family here." So I felt that pain that came back when I was 6 years old. It's the pain that's scrunching in your heart that you can't, it would never go away, or that you never forget.
Right.
Like something was really, really wrong, but at the time I didn't know what was going on or what was wrong. And so it just changed my world. That day just changed my world. And it just was a pain that you would never want to experience in your life. And it was just, we got the call. It was a fire at my son's house. And it just was a lot going on that day. But God has allowed me to, through the different pains in my life with my family members, during COVID and things like that, healing. And I had a great foundation. My godfather was a pastor, and I grew up in the church. My mother was an usher, and my grandparents were deacon. My grandmother was a deaconess, and my grandfather was a trustee of church at a church. So that foundation helped me. It taught me how to pray and who to lean on at that time in my life. And growing up in Sunday school, it taught me in your darkest hours, you always want to lean on God. You always want to lean on God. So growing up and having that foundation and getting that call from my son, I knew it was something, but that was traumatic. The kids passed away in a fire, and that just changed my life tremendously. I'm not just going to go into everything, but it happened. And through that pain, that was a tremendous pain, I birthed a legacy with writing this book of my journey of seeing my family members embracing their pain on their journey home. But back to the incident with my grandkids and just hearing his voice, I knew it wasn't a pleasant voice of him, the way he yelled and he said, "Mom, I need you all here.
Right.
I need my family here."
And so, I'm glad your son has joined you, because it's impossible to talk about the pain that you experience without hearing him, hearing his voice. And so going back on that day, as you think back, tell us just the range of emotions that you experienced once the fire had started and you were trying to figure everything out.
It was quick. Everything about it was very quick. In moments like those, you tend to act a lot quicker than you think. So, they say you have time to think about your actions before you make a choice. In moments like that, it doesn't really work like that. You just jump into your survival instincts and everything of that nature. So, overall, it's not just one or two or three emotions.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of them. And you just got to kind of channel them so you can do what you need to do in that time.
The one thing that impressed me about you all as you were going through this experience and making the arrangements, I saw you all pulling together and not pulling apart. Could you talk a little bit about how it is that you all, you know, a lot of times when families are experiencing this type of grief, they start to blame and all this other, but I saw you all pull together as a family unit. So talk to us a little bit about where that came from. Is this who your family has always been? Are you always close-knitted like that?
Yeah, so for the most part, it was about being there for each other, trying to keep everybody whole. It was a lot of emotions everywhere, but the biggest thing we could have focused on doing was just being there for each other. If somebody was, you know, couldn't find the right words or wasn't able to stand on their 2 feet or anything of that nature, it was just about being there for each other in that specific time.
The day of the service, you know, we can never forget the 3 girls there, and the family was intact, and you all had a beautiful, if I can use that word, service, in that we took a ride back through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Was that healing for you all to ride back, or because there were people outside standing and waiting for you all on both sides of the road, and the line of cars kept growing as we were making our way. What did that do for you all as a family?
Well, for me, I was looking as I saw the horses, carrying them. To me, when we rode past the old house, my vision was my babies are riding past their old house to their new home in heaven. And that's what I took from it. And it was just amazing to see the community and family and people we didn't even know who heard the story and came and supported us. And it was just a beautiful celebration for my girls.
Yeah. And so in the months that have passed, you've been able to write this book, and tell us what it has done for you in writing this book.
I started writing this book 2 years ago. I used to work at night, overnight, and I would put it down, get writer's block, emotions and things. But I wanted to tell a story about my family and the pain that I went through, embracing a lot of my family members who have gone before me, my mother, how I experienced finding my mother deceased, and my father, my grandmother, how COVID took out a lot of my family members. We had like 10 deaths in like 2 months during the COVID. So I had to get a grip of myself and just embrace myself with my pain in their journey going home. And their journey going home, to me, it set the foundation and allowed me to be strong. That's when I became and got a rebirth, and like, no, your foundation is too strong for you to let go and not produce something. So that gave me the writing skills to talk about my family, the ones who have gone before me, and along with my grandkids. And that's where the pain came from, me to embrace it all and to put it, and I started writing it like two years ago.
All right. So Nick, tell us, what have you been doing to help yourself to navigate this journey of grief and sorrow?
Predominantly just keeping my faith high, and just staying busy. Staying busy. And with my 2 daughters that I have, they keep me busy as well. So.
Yeah.
Music.
So tell us the ages of your 2 daughters that you have now.
The youngest, she will be 1 in April.
She is right there walking.
And she's starting to walk. And my oldest, she will be 14 in May.
Okay.
So
they
it's a big gap, but
Yeah.
Zaria.
So how?
they keep me going.
Yeah. How is Zaria? How
She is right there.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know she was here. So how's Zaria? She's doing okay. She's
Yeah,
Okay.
she's been doing quite well.
yeah.
School has been keeping her occupied.
Okay.
She's doing very well in school. Constantly making honor rolls.
Okay.
that's- You know, what more could a parent ask for?
So, Larine, tell us a little bit about this organization of Black women that you are associated with. Tell us about this
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah, those are my GGs. And when I say GGs, yeah, she's done with you. You done with him?
Yes, you can stay if you want.
Yeah, those are my GGs. We call ourselves girlfriends and gods.
Okay.
And they always say you surround yourself with a circle of people who pour into you, love you, support you, get you through your rough times, your hard times. And my Black women who want more, GGs have done that for me. I met Coach Rose. She's the CEO and the owner of Black Women Who Want More.
So I'm going to ask Coach Rose just to come up for a moment and join us in this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yes.
So, Coach Rose, tell us a little bit about how you, what was it that led you to form this organization?
Well, like Larine, this organization was birthed out of pain.
Okay.
I was going through a divorce. I had been married for 8 years. And during those 8 years, my life revolved around my husband and my child, But I knew that there was a purpose for my life. So in 2007, I wanted to bring women together because I knew that a husband couldn't make me whole, a child couldn't make me whole. I knew there were elements of wholeness that I was missing.
Yeah.
And I knew there were elements of wholeness that other Black women were missing. And so I wanted to take us on a holistic journey to personal development, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially.
All right.
Because whole women make smart decisions.
Ooh.
And
Yes.
so that's what we've been doing since 2007. We have been planning events that cater to the whole woman. We have been helping women find their purpose, and we have been helping women find their connection to their creator first and foremost, to be plugged into the source of life.
So tell us how, if a person was someone's interested in becoming a part of this organization, what do they do? How do they get in contact with you all? Where do they start at?
Okay. Well, we have an academy. Our academy has 7 life coaches. We have a team of life coaches, and they would go to bwwmacademy.com. Those are our initials, Black Women Who Want More. That's bwwmacademy.com. And there you can read the history, you can see pictures of previous events, and you can just sign right up and get plugged in immediately.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. Well, Irene, I want, this is your day, and we are celebrating you. So tell us how people can go about purchasing your book.
Okay, I have a website called 3 Angels Consulting, LLC. You can go there, and you can purchase a book there, and you can also, we can do it via Cash App, or you can also do it via Zelle. And I do have a QR code as well.
Okay. So the books are available through your website.
Right, through my website. They will be coming soon to Amazon in about another week or so.
Okay,
Yes.
another week or so.
But they can
Amazon.
also contact me too.
Okay, fantastic. So they give us again how they can contact you to purchase the book.
They can go to 3 Angels Consulting, LLC, or they can also go through, you can Cash App me and I can give you the QR code for that.
Okay. All right. So I love the fact that I see www.angelconsultants.com, and it's an S on consultant. So whatever you do, and it's also going to be available on Amazon
In another week.
in another week or so on all the major platforms
All
of
the major
purchasing.
platforms, Amazon, on everything. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
fantastic. Well, we are so excited to be here today and celebrating Larine Meade Hurd as she's taken her pain. And her book title says it all, My Pain Embrace, Their Journey Home. and it's a wonderful read, and I would encourage everyone, anyone who's on the path of grief and sorrow, make sure you go out and purchase this book, and you will have a wonderful read, and you will walk away with some great tidbits and life lessons to help you move forward. Larine, thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this celebration.
Yes, and thank you so for having me, and thank you for coming as well.
As I always say to my listening audience, make sure that you are inspired. And when you get an inspiration, hey, you got to get some information, because you need some information to go along with your inspiration. And once you get some inspiration and some information, look out, you're going to have some transformation. And that's what we're seeing here today.